pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of Bowling Green City Council. We're really pleased that everyone's here tonight. As always, I'm happy to see Board President Stewart and Superintendent Scrucci with us this evening, in addition to our fine police and fire chiefs. Good to see everybody tonight. Thank you. Hey, would you please call the roll?
Osbacher.
Here.
Harold.
Here.
Hollenbaugh.
Here.
Jeffers.
Here.
Robinette.
Here.
Roland. Here. Zanfordino.
Here.
The minutes from the meeting that was held on August 19th, 2019 were presented to council prior to this meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to these minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. The minutes are approved as presented. Kay, do we have correspondence this evening?
Yes, I have a couple of things. I have a request for confirmation of an appointment to a board and commission from Mayor Edwards, and that appointment is of Steve Knapp, 4-year term ending 5/30/23 for the Human Relations Commission. And I request your approval of that.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
A fine person for the commission, and I think he should be approved.
I agree. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The appointment is approved as presented.
And then also distributed to you prior to the meeting is a listing of budget transfers from the Finance Director, Brian Bouchon, for your approval.
Is there a motion to approve the budget transfers?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The budget transfers are approved as presented.
And finally, distributed to you on with your legislative package on Friday were the proposed rates for the new Veterans Building in City Park, and those require your approval as well.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the recommended fees for the rental that were given to us. Were these for the rental of the building, or are these for the?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, for the rental of the building as provided to us. I'm going to change it. Thank you. Proposed rates for the new Veterans Building, each room was broken down for us.
That's correct.
I move that we support this.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I did have one question. Lori, were these rates reviewed and approved by the Parks Board?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. The proposal is approved.
That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Kay. Mr. Mayor, do we have any special recognitions this evening?
We do not.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's proceed then to lobby visitation. Kay, has anyone signed up to speak to council this evening?
Yes, the first person is Michael French.
Thank you. All those that have signed up, we ask you to approach the microphone at the lectern and please state your name and address for our record, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Michael French, French. I am at 61 Windrush Bourne in Ashbury Hills. I'm here tonight representing myself as citizen, but also as a member of the board of the Ashbury Hills Association. We read in the BG Independent News about the first reading that's going to be taking place about the transfer of property from the city to the schools just north of our area. We are very much in support of the schools, very happy that they are taking this step to have egress in and out of their lot, and so we want to go on record to support that. The concern of the board is twofold. First, the ditch that runs between the land and Windrush Bourne is a city ditch. It's not part of the county. The county ditches were cleaned out a year ago. This ditch has not been cleaned out in like 5 years. We would hope before any transfer of property happens, so as not to burden the school with this expense, that we might be able to work to get that done. The second is a little bit more serious, and I speak of a personal situation. On Monday morning at 7:30, the record will show that I called an ambulance to my house. My wife fell out of bed. She's a survivor of stroke. She broke her leg in 2 different places, now has 23 screws in her leg. There's only one way in and out of Ashbury Hills. I was not here when it was built, obviously, but you all know that. The way it was built, you cannot get the larger fire trucks in, and the ambulances seem to be getting larger. And I think we possibly have a safety issue that we cannot get another way in. So the board would like to address the schools and council, and maybe to consider that if this land is given to the schools, that instead of a driveway coming off Van Camp, we possibly collaboratively look at a street extending Windrush Bourne from Ashbury Hills all the way out, so that there would be another way in, and the larger trucks, the larger moving vans, the larger fire trucks, which can now not get into Ashbury Hills, have egress in there. And we'd like to go on record that as the board moves forward with this, that it is an area, and we'd be, as the board representative, I would be very happy to work with you on that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comments.
Next person is Frank McLaughlin.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Good evening. I have 2 things. I'll try and be brief. I've had occasion to spend some time at our neighbor to the north, up around Bancroft Street and Secor, University of Toledo. As I've been had to spend some time up there, I've really been reminded about how important the neighborhood, the appearance of the neighborhood is to a university community. What they've done up there, and it had been some time, actually I'm an alum from that place, but what they've done up there in the last 10 or 15 years is remarkable. I mean, it really looks pretty good. I was happy to see the East Wooster Street white paper come out earlier this year. I just want to make sure that with the, I know that there have been some small steps here, but we remain focused on getting some real stuff done here. I mean, I really feel that this is important, especially in light of our competition, for lack of a better word. And I appreciate your efforts in that regard. I know there have been some things happening, but I just want to keep it out there for everybody. The other thing, I was disappointed to hear about the lack of action, the tabling of the single-use plastic bag activity 2 weeks ago. I did not understand, according to media, there was no clear explanation about why this happened or did not happen. I know that there was stated that there was some concerns about what the state of Ohio might be doing, but what the state of Ohio might be doing is a pretty low bar when it comes to this kind of activity. The state of Ohio has not been, in my opinion, state of Ohio has not been incredibly supportive of a lot of recycling, climate change kind of things. I'm hoping that this doesn't just get lost, that there is some kind of a plan for getting this done. The sooner the better. I think that it's a small step, but it's small steps are how things get done, how big projects get done. And certainly, all these kinds of climate change, recycling issues are. This is a big project, and this is a very small first. I just think it would be a shame for it to get lost at this point. Thanks for your time.
Frank, thank you. We appreciate your comments.
Next is Francis Scrucci and Ginny Stewart.
Mr. President, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for affording us the opportunity to address council. Our school year began on August 21st, and with every new year comes a fresh start for students and staff. And each new year comes with hope, endless possibilities, and a personality of its own. Getting off to a great start is important, and on behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to thank Mayor Edwards, members of council, city administrators, and members of the police and fire departments for joining with our school officials to greet and welcome our students back to school. And while this may seem like a small gesture, it's just another example of the continued support that city schools receive from our wonderful community and you as a council. You taking time out of your day to make our students feel special and know that we're all invested in their education is something not found in most communities. And I thank you from the bottom of our hearts for helping us get off to a great start, the best start in the 5 years that I've been here. Thank you very much.
I'm Ginny Stewart, School Board President. Good evening. On behalf of the Bowling Green School Board, I would like to thank Mayor Edwards, the City Administration, and City Council for the proposed donation of the land north of the location specified for the community elementary school. Your support ensures that the proposed community elementary school will have safe and convenient access and egress for our students, their parents, and our school buses. Thank you again for helping facilitate this very critical project for our city's future and well-being.
Thank you both very much. We appreciate it. That was fun, wasn't it, Francis? First day of school? That's great. I really enjoyed that.
Sue
Not so much.
Sue Smith.
Good evening. My name is Sue Smith. I live on Alexandria Boulevard, and my backyard abuts the Simpson Park, and that is what I'd like to address today. It's a wonderful area. However, there have been a couple things that have happened that have not been pleasing to some of the residents here, and myself in particular. I have sent letters concerning this since July, and I have copies of these, which I would like to give to you as I leave here. Several of the homes that were not built when the master plan for Simpson Park was done, and I understand that there is an update committee to update those to look at the plans and that sort of thing, but I don't think that there's been anything interim that has been changed much. So anyway, I have a great concern because this year, after living where I do for 16 years, we have had fox in our yards, on our decks, and taking residence on my front porch. Other people in the neighborhood have told me that they just got their little dog in time when the fox appeared on their deck. Other people have told me, in fact, 2 people have told me that. So I think they're letting me take the head on this to bring this to the Simpson Park Association and the committee to handle that. The grass is now at 2 feet high, and I understand that it was spring rains that delayed the mowing. However, in the previous years, all of the previous years, that area has been mowed, and visibility of 2 planters, which are lovely, are visible from the entire park area. So this year, it was an entirely different scenario. My concern beside the fox is that there could be ticks or fleas or whatever wild animals bring. And there's a lot of people and children who walk that area in shorts, and sometimes they just wear sandals. And if they get bit, that could be a very serious problem. So I am hoping that the committee will address this and mow down that high grass in the area. I'm glad that they are reconsidering the Simpson Park design. I think that's pretty much it for me. I do have these letters that I have sent copies from July on concerning this. I did receive one reply from a city official, which really did not, oh yeah, Dick did, wrote, a reply, but he, very wisely turns this over to the Commission of the Parks and lets them make the calls. And so anyway, he addressed the rain issue, which has long passed. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your your concerns.
Brenda Pike.
Brenda Pike, 543 Haskins Road, Bowling Green. First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, and thank you for all of your hard work. I wanted to recognize that off the top. I also want to thank you for holding your meetings at an appropriate time and not during supper time, thus accommodating the community members to be able to attend. I will be addressing 2 topics this evening. It's come to my attention that by 2021, the city plans to remove all parking meters from downtown and replace them with a kiosk system. In my opinion, this will be detrimental to many individuals, but in particular to our senior generation. Many of these folks have no understanding of how these work and can be frustrated by computer systems. If a person has a physical challenge and is required to walk from their vehicle to a kiosk, which is a greater distance than to a meter that is just in front of their car, and finds that they do not know their license plate number, then they must return to their car and walk back to the kiosk again, where then they could stand in a line. Following all of this, they could then be so physically drained that they cannot even proceed with their shopping. This is just one example of what one individual may go through. Thus, I present to you a petition signed by 100 people who would ask you to consider leaving one parking lot with meters so that people can still patronize the downtown businesses without the hardship of navigating a kiosk system. Not one individual I spoke with thought an exclusive kiosk parking system downtown is a good idea. I believe that speaks volumes. Secondly, there appears, as Sue mentioned, to be a tall grass issue in Simpson Park. While citing excessive rain and setting water as a reason to not mow in the spring, we are now approaching fall and the grass still grows. This was also an issue at St. John Woods, which is an actual nature preserve. Yet once the water receded, it was mowed. Several community members have asked city officials and department heads about this issue and were told that this is specialized grass and aesthetically appealing to the eye. This grass, which now measures 2 feet and higher, is now a safe haven for fox, field mice, and of even more concern, ticks. Ticks carry Lyme disease, and they easily attach themselves to humans as well as their dogs. This is a real concern, as the health of our citizens should take priority over grass. Would a citizen be allowed to grow the grass at their residence to this height? Of course not. Citing that they think it is aesthetically beautiful would not be reason enough to allow it. Please consider mowing these areas for the overall wellness of our community's residents and their pets. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. We appreciate your comments.
Last person is Bud Henshin.
Yeah, I'm Bud Henshin, 426 South Mitchell Road, Bowling Green, Ohio. The reason I'm here tonight is I read an article said that the city's considering transferring some land, and I've also heard that involved in that is school property. So is this between the school swapping property with the city? If so, I'd like to have that on the record that that is what's happening.
That's not what's happening.
Okay.
The legislation the council is considering this evening would be transferring the land directly to the school board in the event that the bond issue is successful. There is no land swap involved in this legislation that we're considering this evening.
Okay, I appreciate that because there's so many rumors get going, and it needs to get clarified before this whole election and everything else gets involved. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Great. Thank you all for your comments this evening. We do appreciate it. We are going to proceed then with the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Jeffers.
from the Finance Committee, I have an ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019. I have a resolution transferring previously appropriated funds.
Thank you, Bruce. From the Committee of the Whole, I have an ordinance determining certain real estate properties no longer necessary for municipal purposes and authorizing the municipal administrator to transfer said properties to the Bowling Green City School District Board of Education. Next is our official reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of council, and all assembled. How pleased I was to read in the current issue of Cities and Villages, the magazine of the Ohio Municipal League, an editorial by Executive Director Kent Scarrett, praising the National League of Cities, NLC, campaign of Love My City. This national campaign is designed to spotlight the love residents feel for their cities. The idea for this national campaign originated by Gary, Indiana Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson. I do not happen to know Karen Freeman Wilson, but I've heard a great deal about her, and that's a tough environment there. If she's been able, with the help of others, to turn some things around in Gary, it's nothing short of amazing. I wholeheartedly applaud the NLC's initiative and the work of Mayor Freeman Wilson. In reading the editorial, it immediately brought to mind what we all know and experience on an almost daily basis. That is, how much the citizens of BG love their city and are not the least bit hesitant to share passions and feelings about our city. And we've seen examples of that here this evening. It is precisely why we are all looking forward to the 26th annual Black Swamp Arts Festival this weekend. And thank you, John Zanfordino, for correcting me, because I had 23rd down in my prepared statement, and it is 26th. how time
You had that
flies when we're
confirmed?
having
Good.
fun.
No, actually, I know it is.
It is precisely why the city administration, with your strong backing, supported investing more than $3 million in infrastructure improvements in historic downtown BG, combined with an additional huge investment by Columbia Gas. Yes, many of these dollars could have been redirected to neighborhood street improvements, but we opted to take the long view in trying our best to preserve and enhance downtown Bowling Green. Most citizens and property owners understand the rationale for this investment. That is why, with your strong backing, we opted to institute the free parking proclamation well ahead of the usual holiday policy. The downtown needed a psychological lift after many months of construction and some unfortunate delays related to weather and the complexities of removing debris, some probably 100 years old. And we've talked about that from time to time, what we found looking down those holes and some of the workers having to use hand trowels and so forth. When the project is fully completed, I sincerely hope that the leadership of downtown Bowling Green will celebrate the return to a solid, forward-looking, and inviting business climate. Yes, we all have our stories of tough business conditions, but the important thing is that we are all looking ahead and seizing opportunities for enhancing business. And Greg Robinette, I want you to know that we carried your message, that is Lori Treader and I, forward to the board last Wednesday of downtown Bowling Green, the SID, the Special Improvement District Board, Oversight Board. In the same vein, I am pleased to see that you will be giving a second reading tonight for an ordinance requiring buffers for parking lots and sprucing up setbacks for our major traffic arteries. That is why the recent meeting of the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee carries with it great import for addressing the needs for rezoning, especially along the East Worcester Street corridor, where the university has already made substantial investments in purchasing some unsightly properties. In the interest of looking ahead and reflecting on the best interests of our community, I applaud the important initiative of identifying some parcels of city-owned land that will assist in the construction of a new all-in-one elementary school if approved by the voters. As a community, we simply must look and plan ahead. The delays in moving forward to address the acute needs and important issues confronting our school system has unfortunately hurt our community and put us at a distinct disadvantage with neighboring communities. Ditto for tonight's meeting as a committee of the whole on the important topic of sustainability and the city's contract with the Bowling Green Recycling Center. In keeping with the National League of Cities Love My City campaign, let's enjoy the Black Swamp Arts Festival, number 26, John. Encourage citizens to sign up as volunteers and support our local businesses and the return of historic downtown BG to a vastly improved condition, and celebrate the many attributes of our community, one of the best traditional college towns in Ohio and in the U.S. Mr. President, members of council, this concludes my report, unless you have some questions for me. I'll be more than happy to try to answer them, but thank you for hearing out my statement here. It's something that I feel very strongly about, as you can well know and probably appreciate. I gave a lot of thought to it over the weekend, and I see so many positive things going on. And yes, we're all bothered by some of the voices that of sometimes disconnect and disconcerting voices. But I know people are trying to do their very best to work through some of these issues. So.
Thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate all of your comments, certainly relevant, each of them. I would just particularly like to emphasize my support of your comments relating to our need to support the schools. Right. It's a topic that we have discussed frequently recently and will continue to discuss, because I think all of us have come to understand how very important it is that we come together as a community and support our schools in their efforts to solve these facility issues. So I am thankful for your comments on that matter. I do think that it is something that we can all rally around. So thank you for saying that out loud.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And I want to just thank Superintendent Scrucci and Board President Jenny Stewart for expressing their thoughts tonight. And I know that you've put a lot of time in on this, and we will be working together and making a number of public statements in this regard. And I know other members of council feel the same way. We'll be joining in. This is so overwhelmingly important for our community. We simply have to move forward as best we possibly can, knowing that it may not be perfect in every sense, but that's what we got to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other additional comments from Mayor Edwards, or questions, I'm sorry. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Municipal Administrator, Ms. Treader.
Well, Black Swamp Arts Festival is certainly on the minds of many of us here this evening. Just a quick reminder about some of the logistics that are involved in bringing the festival to our citizens and our many, many visitors who will head into town this weekend. We will be closing parking lot 2 on Thursday morning. That's the one behind Sam B's area. That's where we have the music. So we've started posting notice in there for people to remove their vehicles. We will then also be having other parking restrictions as posted. I won't go through all of them. You can read them all in the e-news that hopefully all of you and our citizens receive. But the big closure, of course, is Main Street, starting in the wee early hours of Saturday morning and continuing into Sunday evening. As usual, Wooster Street will remain open for east and west traffic, but that Main Street will be closed so that artists can assemble there on the street and everybody can enjoy the festival. We talked just several meetings back a little bit about the condition of downtown, and as we had talked to you at the time, the surface course is down so that the tents can be placed on the Main Street, but it is still an active construction zone. We are doing, the contractor is working. If you've been downtown, you see they are pouring concrete and closing up some areas. It's impossible to have all of them closed up prior to the festival, so there will be some active construction areas marked by cones. But of course, we will also encourage people to be mindful that they're in a construction zone as they're traveling down through there. But we are hoping for a very successful festival. We look forward to seeing all of you and our community out for a wonderful community weekend. That completes my report. Subject to your questions.
Other questions for Lori?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Planning Director, Ms. Saylor.
Good evening. This is definitely not as exciting as the Arts Festival, but it's the 2020 census. We're really on the heels of that really vital, required by law, by the Constitution, to fill out every 10 years. And right now we wanted to give you a heads up that there are census employees canvassing our neighborhoods. You may get a knock at the door. They're going to have a badge. They're going to have, ask them your name, where they're from. They should be clearly labeled. And it's important you know that for safety, of course, but you certainly can ask them what their name is and where they're from. But they do knock on doors, and they're there to verify addresses. So part of our department's job is to add addresses. We do this about every 10 years in accordance with the census. And we just found out we added almost 600 addresses since the past 10 years. So definitely critical to, again, an accurate count. We also have to report boundary changes every year. Again, not that exciting, but again, very critical to getting a good count. If you read about the census, you're going to get definitely more information, but there's so many uses for the census. It's planning data. It's what HUD uses, how we get our analysis of impediments for housing. It's just critical. So again, you'll hear more about that as we put our complete count committee together and finalize that. But again, want you to know, I actually saw one in my neighborhood, and I'm such a census nerd. I text Joe Fawcett and said, "Hey, Joe, I just saw a census person in our neighborhood." But again, they're out there. There's over 40,000 people in our country working on that right now. So again, really important. Also, Not in Our Town wanted to talk to you about the Community Conversation Series. I don't know if many of you have seen the flyers yet. We're really excited about this. We do have extra flyers, but we do need you to RSVP for our Community Conversation Series. The first one is being done by Dr. Jolie Sheffer, Doing Diversity While Being White. The second one is Recognizing and Dealing with Unconscious Bias. It's a fabulous session that I've been to at TMACOG, and I really think it's important for everybody in the community. If you can attend that, I think it's very helpful to, we all have bias. Most of us are unconscious bias. Some of us know our bias, but I think it's really critical. So I'd encourage you, if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to talk to you about that. And then if you can mark your calendars for the Peace March, I think it's the 4th annual already, which is Wednesday, November 6th at 12 o'clock. We're hoping to utilize the Booster Green and march from there. Again, still in the planning phase, but I know November will be here very quickly, and it's an event we're really proud of. So that's it, unless you have any specific questions.
Other questions for Heather?
Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Director, Ms. Otley.
Good evening. Just a few things. Now, I know all of you up here have gotten one of these in the mail, I hope, although you never know with the mail. But I'll pass it out again. Do want to remind you that coming up on Friday, September 27th is the 24th, and that is correct because I had somebody else check it, Mayor, for me. 24th Annual Wine and Cheese Social, and the time has changed. It is starting a little bit later at 5:30. So if you're used to getting there right at 5 or a little bit before, it starts at 5:30. Importantly, the proceeds this year are going to Carter Park. If you all remember, we're putting in a new shelter out at Carter Park. So the proceeds are going to that this year. And some new exciting live auction items, which I won't take time on now, but please check that out. Go to our website. Really a little bit different and more exciting than it has been in years past. So come at 5:30 and get your bidding hand ready to go up to support the parks and the new shelter in Carter Park. Want to make you aware, hopefully you are already, but we're trying something new. The Healing Garden in Simpson Garden Park is complete now, the redo of that. And the intent in the area there in the middle is for folks to be able to do yoga, Tai Chi, some of those healing and meditative arts. So a couple of our yoga instructors are going to hit the road and offer some free classes in September out at the Healing Garden. We do ask for people to still register so they know who's coming, but those are free. And there's a couple different time options for that, some in the morning and some in the evening around people's busy schedules. So I do want to clarify, because I know I confused at least Jan and a few other people with the information on City Park that said that there would be one-way traffic starting today. Yes, there is always been one-way traffic in City Park, but the way that it's going is going to be changing depending on what section of the roadway is coming out. And so this morning, they did remove a section of the road. So as you pull into City Park, there's signage directing you to go to the left around. And then at some point, if you want to get out, you're going to have to go the other way. So we just ask people to go slow and watch the signage. It'll only take them about a couple days for that, and then they'll put gravel down. And then at some point, they're going to go do the section on the other side. And then that gravel will remain until they do the paving towards the end of the project, probably October, November. I don't know that exactly. When they do that, there will be a couple of days where there will be no vehicular access at all to City Park. So the park itself can still be open, but with paving, we just can't have people on the roadway. So as soon as we know that, we'll absolutely get the word out about that. But it is exciting because it means the project is moving along. And we did wait to do that, and the contractors waited to do that until the pool was closed for the season. So that leads right into the fact that Monday was the last day at the pool. So they waited to start that until today. So don't show up and try to swim until 2020 at the outdoor pool. So, and that's all that I have, unless you have any questions of me.
Questions for Kristen?
President, I may go to the park tomorrow just to experience driving left around it. There were a few people tonight that were discussing Simpson Garden Park, and I know you've got several initiatives going with respect to that. Maybe if you could briefly mention the getting the band back together that were
Sure.
originally there, and then also the Park and Rec strategic plan update and how that relates.
Right, and thank you. We don't have dates set for those yet, so I'm hoping here in this week to get those finalized. But yes, we brought together the group that initially had the idea and sat down and planned the garden park 17 years ago, believe it or not. So lots of things change in 17 years. Those that are still around the area and willing and able to commit. I won't say living. Oh wait, I just said that. Unfortunately, we have lost a few of those people. Margaret Tucker, I miss her every day for one, and a few others. Jerry Liss and things have have passed on. They're watching us and guiding us. But we did have a meeting, and we will continue to meet, kind of going over the history, the initial concept plan, where we are today, and quite honestly, what that means financially. So that group is sort of helping to kick off into our department's then master planning process, which will consist, we have 2 years. So we want to start that early this time and really get feedback. What that is going to consist of is Dr. Orr from BGSU, as I mentioned before, will be leading our community focus groups. We'll be able to break those down a little bit more this time since we have time. Our larger parks will get their own focus group. And as I've mentioned a few times, Simpson Garden Park will be the very first one, but I don't have that date. Dr. Orr does this with our graduate students, which is a fantastic partnership. I would have loved to have had that experience as a grad student to come in and actually do some of that real world stuff. And they're great students. So they just started classes, so we're trying to finalize some dates. But City Park would have its own, Carter Park and Ridge would be together as they're on the east side and so on. So those will be coming up. We'll obviously advertise those. Next year will be time again for the recreational needs survey, which the University Public Impact School, or anyway, they changed the name. Community Service and Learning is now Public Impact. They have offered to do that as well, and we will utilize them for the recreational needs survey. And then Dr. Orr will also be doing some visioning meetings with our board and our foundation and our staff. So all of that sort of tied together in this 2-year process for us to be updating plans and things. So
when you get the date, and certainly Dr. Orr has been an asset to the community on multiple occasions. When the dates are set with respect to Simpson Garden, would it be an unreasonable request to have the adjoining property owners notified of the date, simply the same way that they were notified earlier this year about goings on?
We certainly could. I mean, there's a cost to that, but we will notify the whole community.
Right.
I have a feeling they'll find out when that is. But you mean a letter specifically to all the neighbors about when that is?
Yeah, I know we sent one out earlier this year.
We did.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that everyone is aware of that. Absolutely. So if we can save some postage, that might be a better idea. But we'll figure out a way to make sure that everyone is aware of that meeting. Absolutely.
If you need someone
community
to help distribute, let me know.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Kristen? Thank
Thanks.
you. City Attorney, Mr. Marsh. Questions for Mr. Marsh? Thank you. Utilities Director, Mr. O'Connell.
You've probably seen in postings and media that we did send a mutual aid electric line crew to Florida to help with hurricane disaster recovery. You may recall a couple of years ago, maybe it was last year, we sent a crew down as well. And they ended up, they were going to Tallahassee, but they got missed. And so Ocala, Florida was another public power community that was part of American Public Power Association. And they were hit much harder than Tallahassee was. So we moved crew. The crew went to Ocala. That's where they're headed now. So we're kind of waiting to see how bad the damage is there, how much effort do they need to make repairs to their community. If they need to go somewhere else, typically it'll be to another public power community that has a mutual aid agreement through APPA. Then they'll be going to those other town. Kind of have to wait and see how things play out to know where they end up exactly. But we anticipate they'll be gone for 7 to 10 days and then be returning back to the BG. So we just hope they come back safely and they work safely. But it is, you can imagine if a town like ours was hit by a hurricane and we had poles and wires down all across the town, we wouldn't have enough staff and crew here to do that ourselves. So we try to understand that, and we've had mutual aid calls ourselves. In 2014, we had a call. Now only the AMP members in Northwest Ohio really responded to us and said they were here for maybe 2 days and then they were gone. But those people do need power restored, and the only way to do that was with trained linemen and equipment. And we've got the staff, and we do look at schedules and make sure people are going to be available. The rest of the crew will be here to pick up the slack while those 3 gentlemen are gone. It is voluntary, so we ask who wants to go. And if we don't have enough people to go, then we wouldn't send people. And if we thought we were going to be short-staffed, we wouldn't send people as well. So we're comfortable that we've got enough people here to keep Bowling Green serviced as we are expected to service our customers. But again, trying to be helpful to other communities that are suffering. So as we learn more, we'll keep you posted and keep you updated. And that's what I have.
Great. Questions for Brian?
Yeah, Brian, I don't need an answer right now, but one of the lobby visitations was a ditch not cleaned out prior to transfer over by Ashbury Hills.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman mentioned that it was a city ditch, not a county ditch.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that's scheduled for getting cleaned out? Is that one of the more problematic ones or an easier one to get to and with fewer properties involved?
I don't know the exact location. I think it's on the north side of Ashbury Hills. If I'm picturing where that location is at, that we've got a part of the city property butts up against Ashbury Hills. There's a little L shape or dog leg there. There's a ditch that runs across or between those properties. So that, I'm assuming that's where he's referencing. We don't have a typical clean out process. It's on an as needed basis, and so if it does need attention, then we'll go out and look at it and see what it needs. But I don't know what its current status is at this point in time. It's off the road so far you can't really see it. It's at the back end of the farm field. So I'll have to have staff and crew go out and look at it and see what needs to be done, if anything, and we'll go from there. But
I appreciate it when you get a chance.
Sure.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Brian.
Thank
Please
you.
extend our thanks to those employees that volunteered to go down to Florida.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing that we do.
Yeah, linemen always take pride in putting the wires back up and restoring power to people, and it's just something in their DNA that they just have to go do that.
Right.
So we appreciate them being here and doing that for us
We
too.
appreciate what they do, that's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works Director, Mr. Kraft.
Well, it's been a busy year to say the least. Roundabout, the update out there, the surface paving is down, striping is complete, orange beams have been painted, the lighting is up. However, the reason they're not on, they're still working on the sanitary and the water lines closer to the BGSU parking lot. Once that gets complete, the conduits can be put in, and our electric division can get the wire pulled for not only the pump station but for the lighting. There is some additional lighting that would be installed later on that goes all the way back down to alumni, similar style lighting. So that whole length of that would be lit up with the decorative lighting. So we're getting closer on that project. Evers, we're working with the Water and Sewer Department. They're doing some curb work. They did some sewer work down the middle of the street. The whole street will get repaved and then curbed in that 100 block of East Evers. And that should be happening next week. And brush collection, people could call in today through next Monday, the 9th, for brush collection. That happens the week of the 16th. That's our third scheduled brush collection. We had 2 unscheduled as well this year. There'll be another one coming in October for those that may miss September. Downtown, of course, we are trying to get as much buttoned up as we can before the festival. And right now we're looking to do milling early next week on Wooster to get Wooster sub-base fixed, and then get the portions of Wooster paved with intermediate. And that only leaves then the curb ramps, curbs, and sidewalk repairs yet through September and October for final paving. And I believe that's everything. Anybody have questions for me?
Questions for Brian?
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks.
Yep.
That concludes our official reports. Thank you, everybody. We do appreciate those reports. Do we have council committee reports this evening?
Mr. President, I'd just give you a preview on behalf of the Planning, Zoning, Economic Development Committee. I had a pretty fruitful conversation with Lori Treader about some of the ongoing projects in my effort to provide a periodic update on the CAP projects that we've all agreed to do in East Wooster Street. And as I was going through my notes, and I'm just giving you a preview because I will deliver a written report next meeting. But I want you to understand what's coming, because we've really been doing a lot as a council. We've moved forward on a lot of fronts. We've attacked a lot of the issues and recommendations that came up in the CAP. We continue to attack some even beyond what we established as priorities because they've come up as part of, in the course of our normal business. The efforts that we're taking in response to the report on East Worcester Street are also going to yield a lot of results. And there are other zoning issues and economic development issues that we were attacking. So I'm going to put together a report that I think lays out for all of us where we're at, where we're headed. We've initiated a number of projects that are either complete, will be complete in a year, some 2-3 years out. And I just think it's important for us to take a moment and look at the things we've done and the trajectory we put ourselves on. And it will also help us determine as a council what, if any, additional CAP priorities, for example, we may want to put on our agenda in 2020. So anyway, I've got my notes, had a nice conversation with the administration, and I will deliver that report next meeting so that we have plenty of time through the next quarter to figure out where we want to go in the next year or two. So.
Great. Thank you, Greg. We'll look forward to that report.
Just a comment, Greg, it's really important that you do the kind of thing you're talking about. Planning and implementation, there's often an extended gap between the two, and it's good to be reminded that we are making progress, and I'm glad you're keeping an eye on those things.
Thank you. Additional council committee reports. Okay, Kay, would you please read us through the reading of legislation?
Legislation for first reading. Resolution number 3741 for first reading. Resolution transferring previously appropriated funds.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jeffers.
I move we suspend the rules and give Resolution 3741 its second and third readings.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Kay, would you please call the roll?
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes. The motion passes. The rules are suspended for Resolution 3741.
Resolution number 3741 for second and third reading. Resolution transferring previously appropriated funds.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jeffers.
I move we adopt Resolution 3741.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Kay, would you please call the roll?
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution 3741 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8795 for first reading. Ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019.
What was that number again, Kay?
8795.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jeffers.
I move we suspend the rules and give Ordinance 8795 its second and third readings.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Kay, would you please call the roll?
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Motion passes. The rules are suspended for Ordinance 8795.
Ordinance number 8795 for second and third reading. Ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jeffers.
I move we adopt Ordinance 8795.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Kay, would you please call the roll?
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Motion passes. Ordinance 8795 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8796 for first reading. Ordinance determining certain real properties no longer necessary for municipal purposes and authorizing the municipal administrator to transfer said properties to the Bowling Green City School District Board of Education. Legislation for second reading. Resolution number 3739 for second reading. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Resolution number 3740 for second reading, resolution authorizing an application and a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation for congestion mitigation and air quality funds for the improvement of the intersection of Dunbridge Road and Woodbridge Boulevard.
Mr. President, are we requested to give a third reading to Resolution 3740?
I'm not aware of that request or the need to do so. Nope.
Kind of rings a bell with me
I thought it was in the packet also, Bill.
from the last meeting,
Previous
yes.
package.
So we need to suspend the rules and give it its third
Okay.
reading.
I will move to suspend the rules and give Resolution 3740 its third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Kay, would you please call the roll?
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbach?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Motion passes. The rules are suspended for Resolution 3740.
Resolution number 3740 for a third reading, resolution authorizing an application and a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation for congestion mitigation and air quality funds for the improvement of the intersection of Dunbridge Road and Woodbridge Boulevard.
I will move to approve Resolution 3740.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Kay, would you please call the roll?
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbach?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution 3740 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8791 for second reading, ordinance levying a $5 motor vehicle license tax as authorized by Section 4504.173 of the Ohio Revised Code. Ordinance number 8792 for second reading, ordinance amending the zoning district map of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio, for the properties generally known as 1019 Morning Dove Lane and 936 Robinwood Lane from S1 planned residential to R2 single-family residential zoning. Ordinance number 8793 for second reading, ordinance amending and adopting Section 150.55 of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green regarding off-street parking. Ordinance number 8794 for second reading, ordinance authorizing the sale or disposal of former transit service vehicles by the municipal administrator as no longer necessary for municipal purposes. Legislation for third reading. Resolution number 3738 for third reading. Resolution amending and adopting changes to the procurement manual for BG Transit.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino.
I move that we adopt Resolution 3738.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Kay, would you please call the roll?
Osbacher?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbach?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution 3738 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8787 for third reading, ordinance certifying unpaid cost of weed mowing to the county auditor for placement on the tax duplicate.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jeffers.
I move we adopt ordinance 8787.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Kay, would you please call the roll?
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbach?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes. Motion passes. Ordinance 8787 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8788 for third reading, ordinance amending and adopting Section 33.08 of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding police division composition.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jeffers.
I move we adopt ordinance 8788.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Mr. President, I have a question regarding the content of this ordinance. As a matter of clarification, some people are believing that we will no longer have any office in the city. To clarify. Right.
So what we propose to do is give the dog portion, the canine enforcement, to the Wood County Dog Warden's office. The city residents are already paying those licensing fees, and we've had meetings to discuss with the current dog warden the taking over of that enforcement. Our officers will still be doing some after-hours enforcement of and pickups of dogs as we currently do now. It's just that the animal control section will be handling mostly small nuisance animals, like your possums, raccoons, skunks, those kinds of things, and still limited cats. Right now, people are being directed to take cats that they find to the Humane Society directly instead of going through us as a third party. So if we catch them in a trap that's set for either feral cats or caught as a result of a wild animal trap situation, we will handle those cats still. So it's being pared back in that canine enforcement will be handled by mostly the Wood County Dog Warden's office.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification for the residents to better understand what the change is, and Chief Hetrick has adequately answered it and explained it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would you please call the roll?
Hollenbach,
Yes.
Jeffers,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Osbacher,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Motion passes. Ordinance 8788 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8789 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to request proposals and enter into a contract or contracts for a battery energy storage system.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I move that we adopt ordinance 8789.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Jeffers?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbach.
Yes.
Motion passes. Ordinance 8789 is adopted.
That's it. That's all we
That
have.
completes the items on our agenda this evening. Is there any other business to come before council? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.